Today we are putting this windshield repair slash crack repair kit to the test. I recently got a pretty good dent inside on this windshield here. I'll show you what that looks like closer here in a minute. And I've actually it's been there for a minute, and so it's spread a little bit. So I'm curious to see if this will actually work on it. You can see it claims it will work for cracks, chips, bullseyes, and even stars. So I'm optimistic, but also pessimistic. So let's go through and give this thing a test and see if it actually works. I'm gonna walk through the steps on how this thing works, how to use it, and then also show you the final results on the chip. But let me show you a closer look at the chip here so you can get an idea of what we're working with. Okay, so trying to get this to focus here, but you can see we got a pretty good chip here and it's starting to crack up the top this way. So not like the biggest one in the world, but I'm hoping this kit will save me some time and money, obviously, so that I can stop the crack from going through. And then this is what it looks like from the outside. It's a little bit harder to see from that way, but you can see there's a little bit there. Okay, so step one of this is actually really easy. You just want to grab a razor blade or something and just go through over this and make sure that it's as flat as possible. So I'm just going over this with a razor blade. You obviously want to be kind of careful here, but just make sure it is as flat as possible on the glass right there. And then next we're going to grab this funny looking device here, and we want the crack to be in the center of this hole right here. So I'm going to go through and basically place this this way, and it's a little bit hard. I'm actually going to go through and grab a step stool so I can see above this a little bit here. Okay, that is much better having a step stool so I can kind of get an advantage on this. I would definitely recommend that, especially if you're working with a car, SUV, or a truck or SUV that's a little bit taller. So I'm going to go through and get that right in a good place, and then we're going to go through and suction that down right there. And I'll show you what this looks like from the inside. And here you can see we have the crack right there, and it's kind of the holes right in the center of that. So you want it to be as close as possible. This one I can honestly put down maybe a little bit closer, but I think we're close enough there. Next, we're going to grab this little tool here that they call the resin driver, and we are going to go through and put that screw that into the top here. So we're just going to go through and screw this in until it impacts the actual glass there. Just going to get that right there. Don't want it too tight, but right up to the impact of the glass. So you can see here I got it right up as close to that as I could. Just went through and screwed it to that point, this bottom part here. So it's right up against the glass. Okay, next we're going to grab this little top part up here called the resin driver is what they call this thing. And we're going to unscrew this so that we have a hole up here that allows us to go through and put the resin on the top. So, okay, next we're going to grab the resin and go through and pour. It says 3 to 6 drops inside of there. So we're just going to give that a little bit of a squeeze, just like that. There we go. And then we are going to grab the resin driver here. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand. And we are going to screw that in to there. Just like this. Get that nice and tight. There we go. Let's see what this looks like from the other side. Okay, and I don't know if you can even see the crack now at this point. It looks like it's already almost filled it up. But basically it's shooting that resin into there, and we need to wait 4 to 6 minutes is what it says. And then if the crack is still showing signs of bubbles, it says we can go through and basically redo this process. You can do it as many times as you need to. It looks like we might have gotten it though. I can't even see the crack anymore, but it's hard to tell with this thing right here. So we'll come back in 45 minutes and see how this looks. Okay, so it's now been about 5 minutes. Some resin was like going down this way a little bit, so I probably put a little bit too much in there, but I just wiped it away with a cloth there, so something maybe to keep in mind. Now what we want to do is go through and lift this up, and what this does is I guess it releases the bubbles inside of there, and then once you have it up, you actually want to remove it and then screw it back in one time to crush all the bubbles in there. So we got it all up, and I guess we're going to go through and just release it completely here, just like that. And then now we're going to screw it back in one more time before we take it back out, and that will apparently help get rid of some of the bubbles. So then we got that all screwed back in there, and then now we'll take it back out once more. So I'm going to go through and grab this, unscrew it, try not to unscrew the other one. And there we go. We got the resin driver, and then now we can go through and actually remove this part right here. And yeah, it looks like I put way too much resin in there, so don't put as much as I did on there. You can see it's like coming off the top here. I'm just gonna go through and wipe that down as it comes out. Take that driver out. And then now On this part, let me grab the camera so it's a closer view. Okay, and then now they're on these little sticky things. There's these little tiny tabs right here. So you see this little tab? When you go through and take that off, it will take these off really easily. So you just wanna go through and grab all these tabs and it will get all of the things off. And look at that, wow, I can't even see the chip anymore where it's at, but that's where the resin went. You can see it's still there a little bit. And this is what it looks like from the outside. So I'm trying to get it to focus here. Okay, and this is what it looks like from the outside and trying to get it to focus as much as I can here. But the crack is pretty much filled in there. And then now the last step is to take one of these papers here that they give you, apply a little bit of resin onto the crack or onto the part where you're trying to get, and then just place that on there. You don't really need to give it any more pressure. This is just gonna give it one little bit of sealing here. And then it's really important at this point now, you're gonna wanna take your car into the sunlight. So I'm gonna take this outside now and let it dry for, I believe, another 5 to 10 minutes here. Okay, so of course when I go out and leave this out here for a minute, we get like a sprinkle of rain, but hopefully that doesn't affect things. So we're gonna pull this back into the garage. It's now been like 10, 15 minutes and get this thing, kind of show you the end result here. Okay, so now we're gonna go through and just take that off just like that. And it is looking pretty dang good. Now you do wanna go through and take a razor knife and get any extra resin there off there. We're gonna go through and do that real quick. Okay, and after you go through and wipe away all the resin, here's what it looks like after. You can still see it a little bit, but it's done a great job filling it in and basically getting rid of that crack there. So now that we've gone through all the steps, I want to quickly give you my review on this product and my thoughts. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this an 8.5. And the reason why I give it an 8.5 is because I think it did go through and seal the cracks really well. I don't think the crack will continue to spread. However, I do still see the crack in my case. I know that there are a lot of, depending on where the chip hits and where it's at, you probably won't be able to see it and what kind of chip it is. Keep in mind, this was also a chip that happened about 2 months ago. So that's probably another factor there. But in my case, I can still see the chip. So for that reason, I docked it a little bit, but I still think it is a product that is very effective for sealing in those chips or any of those other problems that you have with the windshield. Definitely a solution that will work. However, aesthetically, I can still see the crack. So that's why I give it a little bit of dock, but definitely would recommend this. If you're interested in getting this product, you can check a link down below in the description, and we'll see you in the next one.